Hello, friends. Well, time for our weekly check-in, and what a end of week so far it has been. We're trading into brand new all-time highs here. A couple things off the bat that I want to point out. This gray box right here that is labeled is our past all-time high node from April. We see a little node structure here, which was, like I said, our last all-time high. Rust, following that, a sell back down to this 52.80, 85 area. And if we scroll over to our current price action, we can see, okay, where is this located? Well, we're building out a very strong node in this all-time high, with today, Thursday's close, being right at the edge of our balance in this low volume node. If we go and look at that like 80, 85 area, okay, makes sense. We still have some structure here as well in this low volume node. And at the top of our kind of 3-day balance we put in here at the end of last week on Friday, Monday, Tuesday, very balanced trading in here. Then Wednesday, obviously, are open at the top edge of this structure and above our seller value of 52.60. And then boom, big squeezy push, right? So going into tomorrow, we have OPEX. And structure here kind of allows for two pretty even pathings, specifically to the downside. Today we saw very eager sellers entering the market. The bid was quite strong, willing to absorb, but the desire to really push over and see value come up was lacking. Sellers were much more aggressive in dropping that offer throughout the day and putting pressure into the lows of each kind of rotation, ultimately ending with a quite bearish close based on the day, but in terms of structure, still just holding this upper node. So let's look at a couple options here into Friday and then initially Monday's trading. Now, if this sell side pressure that we saw in the mid-afternoon to late afternoon today continues, it makes sense to come down into this structure below. So this 5300 area being kind of your first initial area of interest. If you see really strong bids in this area, a return to our upper node makes sense, right? Very similar to what we saw on Tuesday here, where we look out of our 3-day balance down into our structure and liquidity and previous auction below. Boom, instantly bid up, and then we see our full oscillation, which initially led to our clearance of our resistance and sell side value. So that's kind of step one, right? Can we come down into this edge from 5300 to 95, find buyers, look back up into this node structure, and then an oscillation. If we cannot find buyers in this kind of 5-point range, once again 95 to 5300, it makes sense to come back down under 80 and test this little bit of structure here, where if we still see weakness, we just put it back into our previous auction, 52.50. Now, do I think that this can happen in one day? It's certainly possible. I don't put it as a super high probability. This area, quite high probability, even the low edge makes sense. A full retrace of this whole buy would be quite aggressive. Definitely not out of the question, but I would like to see and kind of expect to see some buy side pressure in these areas, specifically in this node, that can put the brakes on some selling. Doesn't mean we're going to stop, doesn't mean this will not be the high, but it's seeing a full 100 point-ish move tomorrow seems a little bit out of the question, especially with all the pressure put into this buy side. But still be aware, those are your main areas, right? The 60 to 65, your most extreme, 85 here, which made sense when we looked left into the April structure, 95 to 5300 being your first look. And this is all contingent on this LVN and low side of our upper balance here, losing any buy side. Globex can definitely come down, 5-10 points, trade into this, and then back up. But those are kind of your main areas. Now, for buy side, obviously pushing into all-time highs We have to rely on our intraday order flow as well as structure to really establish targets. We can do some, kind of simple measured moves where if we take this move from low to high of our kind of breakout extension from Wednesday, and I'm going to quick change this into this. We can see just based on measured moves, 53.90 can be a look. That's quite overextended. Still looking at like 70 points there, but this 53.70, just about a 20% of that push could definitely be tagged for a higher high. What I would be relying on more for upside is the Russell. I'm going to take off these envelopes really quick, and we're actually going to go to the weekly chart. People remember from about, a month ago, end of March, early April, we had posted and talked about this yearly value switch on the Russell. So we have a very strong balance put in above through 2022. We spent 2023 and 2024 oscillating and balancing down below this edge. We saw an initial strong test early April, which put in our bearish kind of start to the bearish move and our big sell-off that we observed in ES. And we are currently testing back up into this area. So if we can see the Russell get in, we can utilize some of this structure, specifically from this past 2020 to 2021 balance, to help dictate targets, specifically kind of like this value low area here around 2170, and then up into our primary POC here at 2250. These targets are definitely acceptable, especially this bottom one. So relying on Russell structure here to help dictate ES targets can really clean things up as we're trading basically up into no man's land above. So once again, we're just primarily watching our current balance. What happens here? Do we have a rest day where we just balance this out once again? We watch for buy side pressure through 95 to 5300. Acceptance, we want to see us trade back into the node and then oscillate. No buyers found here. We'll expect our node and balance below to oscillate like this, lower high, and hang out down here. Your most bearish is going to be a trade back into our earlier week range towards 60, but preferably, under 75 into this little bit of structure with our primary structure being below. Make sure to tune in the live streams, come hang out with us, see all this real time, especially trading into all-time highs. I think it's much better to be trading with us live, right, and letting us dictate and kind of explain what's happening with our current order book and the order flow to help set targets as well as pressures. Sellers are definitely eager here, so that kind of sets up an opportunity for, if buyers want to come and raise this value, we can punish a lot of sell side pressure here if we're not seeing that larger degree buy side desire to push value back up. A lot of fresh buyers here that can just get stomped out as well. So that is all I have for you this week. Enjoy your trading, and I will see you guys next week.